Welcome to World Information HD, the channel where knowledge meets excitement. Today, we dive into the world of rare American coins and uncover the top 10 most valuable and extremely rare USA Lincoln pennies that are worth millions of dollars. These small copper coins have made big history, and some lucky collectors have turned pocket change into life-changing fortunes. Stay tuned as we explore the rare dates, hidden errors, and fascinating stories behind these incredible coins. In the year 1941, the United States of America stood at the edge of history. While the world was consumed by conflict and the winds of war swept across Europe and Asia, the American people were living through a moment of uncertainty, resilience, and rapid economic transition. The country had not yet entered World War II, but the echoes of global turmoil were being felt in factories, steel mills, newspapers, and everyday conversations. And in the pockets of millions of Americans, one humble item traveled quietly through grocery stores, barber shops, train stations, schools, and family homes, a simple, small copper coin that, at the time, went mostly unnoticed. That coin was the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, a 1-cent piece minted in Philadelphia. Measured in size, it was tiny. Measured in history, it was enormous. And today, that very coin has become one of the hidden treasures of American numismatics, a collectible that can command astonishing value when found in exceptional condition. But what makes the 1941 no-mint mark penny so desirable? What secrets does it hold, and how can something so small, so ordinary in its day, grow into a piece of history worth thousands of dollars? To answer that, we must go back in time, to the minting of the coin, the man whose face it bears, the changing world that surrounded it, and the small design details that turn a common coin into a rare financial discovery. The Lincoln wheat penny itself began production in 1909, introduced to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It marked the first time in United States history that a real person appeared on circulating currency. Earlier coins had symbolic figures, liberty eagles, shields, national icons, but never an actual human being. Lincoln was chosen because he was more than just a president. He represented unity, morality, sacrifice, and the very idea that a divided nation could heal through determination and hope. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin showed the now familiar portrait of Lincoln in profile on the obverse, while the reverse displayed two stylized wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent. The wheat symbol represented prosperity, agriculture, labor, and the American working spirit. It was a coin meant for everyday hands, but also meant to reflect the nation's soul. Fast forward to 1941. Production of the Lincoln wheat penny was in full swing, and the Philadelphia Mint created more than 800 million of them that year. Because Philadelphia was the main minting facility, its coins carried no mint mark, meaning the letter P is not found under the date. Most Americans didn't think twice about that detail. But today, collectors pay attention to every minor characteristic, every inkling of difference, every possibility of error, and every sign of high-grade preservation. Most 1941 pennies spent their lives in the harsh environment of circulation. They jangled around in pockets with keys and other coins, scraped through cash registers, and slid across countertops. Over time, surfaces became worn, scratches accumulated, and the once sharp details softened. That makes a 1941 penny in pristine condition incredibly difficult to find. And scarcity is one of the first ingredients of value. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies, so it would be easy to assume that none of them are special. But numismatics does not operate on the principle of quantity alone. A coin that survives untouched, undamaged, and bright today is as rare as a relic discovered sealed in a time capsule. That rarity transforms an everyday object into something extraordinary. Another element of value in 1941 pennies is the mystery of minting variations. While most Philadelphia coins from that year were produced with standard dies, the sheer volume of production meant that some dies wore out quickly. Worn dies sometimes produced coins with weak strikes, filled digits, or partial detail. On the other hand, early-stage dies created crisp, sharp images with razor-clean lines around the lettering, Lincoln's face, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. Collectors today seek pennies struck with early dies, strong detail, and high mint luster. Finding one in that condition is like discovering a key to another era. The metallurgy of the coin also tells a story. These pennies are made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, materials that would soon become scarce as the United States entered World War II. The government was already redirecting metal for military supplies and production. Copper was needed for ammunition shell casings, communication wiring, military equipment, and more. This is why coins dated after 1942 began to change composition, eventually leading to the famous 1943 steel penny. In other words, the 1941 penny represents the last chapter before America went into full war economy mode. It is a frozen moment in U.S. coinage, the final calm before massive change. Beyond its historical significance, the design of the 1941 penny is filled with details that collectors appreciate. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile shows fine lines in his hair, collar crease definitions, and even subtle shading contours in the cheek and jaw. The lettering, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the years show crisp serif edges when struck perfectly. On high-grade examples, even microscopic texture remains visible in the fields behind Lincoln, the flat surfaces that collectors closely examine. The reverse also holds treasures for the patient eye. The wheat stalks arch elegantly along each side of the coin, and on a well-preserved example, each grain line remains sharp. The large lettering, 1 cent, has defined ridges, and the words, "United States of America," retain the original raised detail that gives collectors a sense of how the coin looked the day it left the press. When viewed under magnification, a high-grade 1941 penny offers the same visual satisfaction as observing a piece of finely engraved jewelry. That beauty, combined with rarity, has helped push some examples to staggering prices at auctions. Now, what makes one coin worth only a few cents and another worth thousands? The answer lies in several factors: grade, eye appeal, the presence of original mint luster, and the absence of scratches, blemishes, stains, and discoloration. Professional grading companies evaluate these features with unforgiving precision. A 1941 penny that has never been cleaned, damaged, or handled improperly stands a chance of earning a high grade such as MS66, MS67, or above. At these levels, populations drop sharply, and rarity increases dramatically. Collectors also look for other special characteristics. Sometimes coins develop natural, beautiful toning, shades of blue, red, gold, violet, or iridescent copper that enhance visual appeal. Natural rainbow-toned pennies reach premium prices because they stand out in displays, collections, and exhibitions. Artificial cleaning, by contrast, damages value, stripping away decades of natural patina and erasing the very qualities collectors seek. Another reason high-grade specimens are rare is that coin collecting did not boom in popularity until after the 1950s. In 1941, most people did not save coins from circulation unless they had sentimental value. Children occasionally kept wheat pennies in small cardboard folders, but very few collectors in 1941 were preserving coins untouched directly from bank rolls or mint bags. The passage of time has only reduced the population of mint state survivors. Some were melted. Many were spent. Others were damaged before anyone could recognize their value. Those few that remain in outstanding condition today are numismatic time capsules, and when a pristine, well-preserved 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny appears at auction, it creates a lightning bolt of excitement. Bidding battles begin. Collectors compete fiercely. Prices climb higher than anyone might expect for a coin known to have been mass-produced. But that is the thrill of the numismatic world. Value is not based on how many once existed, but on how many remain in exceptional shape today. Imagine opening an old box, a forgotten drawer, or an inherited coin album and discovering a 1941 penny that looks untouched since the year it was minted. The shock would be immediate. The possibilities enormous. And the financial value, if the coin grades well, could be stunning. Welcome back to World Information HD, where we bring the extraordinary stories of American coins that transformed from ordinary pocket change into treasures worth more than most people ever dream. Today, we are stepping back into the year 1942, in the midst of World War II, to explore the fascinating story behind the United States of America 1942 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, a coin that many collectors overlook but that holds deep historical meaning, surprising rarity, and the potential for a life-changing value. Imagine the year 1942. The United States is fully engaged in World War II. Factories across the nation have shifted from producing household goods to manufacturing airplanes, tanks, ammunition, and military supplies. Copper, which was essential for bullet casings and communication wire, became one of the most important industrial metals of the era. Every piece of available copper mattered, and the pressure on the United States Mint became enormous. They had to continue producing coins for commerce, yet also support the war effort by conserving resources. It is within this tense and rapidly changing environment that the 1942 D. Lincoln wheat penny was born. Most collectors today know the story of the 1943 steel penny, produced 1 year later when the U.S. government removed copper from penny production entirely. But 1942 pennies tell an equally compelling chapter in this tale. They were minted at a time when copper supplies were tightening, when experiments for alternative metals were already underway, and when millions of Americans were sending family members overseas, rationing at home, and experiencing the most dramatic transformation of American life since the Great Depression. The 1942 D. Lincoln wheat penny was minted at the Denver Mint, marked with the familiar D under the date. While millions were made, not all of them survived in high condition. Many entered circulation and traveled through wartime hands, from factory workers to military paymasters, from ration stamp exchange offices to American households saving every penny to support the troops. These coins have stories. Every scratch, every worn surface, represents the daily struggle and sacrifice of the American people during the early 1940s. Collectors today value this coin not only for its numismatic worth but for its historical soul. It is a reminder that money can be more than a tool of exchange. It can be a witness to history. The design remains the classic Lincoln wheat cent aesthetic, created by Victor David Brenner. On the front is Abraham Lincoln, the president who preserved the Union during one war, now symbolically present on coins circulating during another. His portrait is simple, humble, yet powerful. On the reverse are the wheat ears flanking the words 1 cent, representing American agriculture, industry, and foundation. It is a design that collectors still regard as one of the most charming and iconic in the history of U.S. coinage. When analyzing the factors that determine the value of a 1942 D. Lincoln wheat penny today, several key elements shape its worth. The first is condition. Coins that were used heavily in circulation lost sharp detail. Lincoln's hair strands, clothing folds, cheek texture, and the clarity of the lettering fade over time. The fields around the portrait may develop scratches, dents, or uneven wear. In lower grades, these coins are common and affordable, but once we move into higher grades, values increase exponentially. Coins graded extremely fine still show sharp detail, but those graded mint state, especially above MS65, become significantly rarer. With every step higher in grade, the number of surviving coins decreases dramatically. And since the Denver Mint of 1942 produced coins that sometimes suffered from weaker strikes, crisp high-grade examples are more limited than collectors first assume. Another major factor in value is eye appeal. Even two coins with the same technical grade may differ in desirability due to luster, toning, and overall aesthetic. A bright red example with full mint luster, no carbon spots, and sharp detail is worth far more than one of the same grade with fading brown surfaces or dull marks. Some collectors particularly seek coins with natural, vibrant rainbow toning, which occasionally appears on carefully stored wheat cents when copper reacts with age and environment. These naturally toned pieces can sell for surprisingly high premiums. Historical context also contributes to this coin's rising value. Coins of the early 1940s represent a transition between traditional coinage and wartime materials. Collectors today appreciate 1942 pennies not only for their designs but because they represent the final full copper cents before the dramatic shift to steel in 1943. That alone makes high-quality survivors from this period especially meaningful. Although millions were minted, the number that exists today in pristine, untouched condition is shockingly low. Many were spent, lost, damaged, melted, or thrown away over the decades. Unlike rare coins that were hoarded immediately by collectors, 1942 pennies were everyday working money. They passed from hand to hand in grocery stores, bus depots, ticket offices, shipyards, rail stations, and wartime manufacturing plants. Most people in 1942 never kept a penny aside as a collectible. That has created the scarcity that serious collectors pay top dollar for today. Finding one in unbelievable condition is not only rare, but lucky. For those who check old jars, inherited collections, dusty envelopes, or rolls of wheat pennies purchased online, the possibility remains that a valuable example might still be waiting to be discovered. Another aspect that fascinates collectors is mint variety hunting. Small differences in production, whether from die cracks, doubling, misplaced mint marks, or strike errors, can elevate value dramatically. Some 1942 examples exhibit doubling on the date or mint mark, while others show die chips, cuds, or even lamination errors caused by the stresses of wartime metal production. These varieties attract collectors who specialize in error coins, increasing demand and driving up market prices. Even a minor doubling that might go unnoticed by casual collectors could be a treasure to specialists. While the coin is 80+ years old today, demand rises steadily because new collectors continue entering the hobby. Coin collecting has seen a major resurgence in the digital era. Online auctions, YouTube education videos, live-streamed coin roll hunts, and social media marketplaces have exposed millions of new people to the excitement of discovering valuable coins. Everyone loves the idea that something sitting unnoticed in a drawer for generations could be worth real money. This new generation of collectors brings higher competition, higher bidding, and higher values. Coins that sold for modest amounts decades ago now bring thousands when preserved in top condition. People who once considered wheat pennies common are now learning that rare survivors, even of seemingly ordinary dates, can command shocking results. It is also important to recognize that third-party grading companies have increased confidence in coin valuation. Organizations such as PCGS and NGC authenticate, grade, and encapsulate coins to protect them long-term. Their certification gives buyers peace of mind and sells coins at premium prices. High-grade coins with these certifications attract serious bidding at physical and online auctions. This is one of the reasons why certain 1942 Lincoln wheat pennies now sell for record amounts. Collectors cherish this coin not only because it is old and historically meaningful, but because it embodies a moment when America was changing rapidly. It represents workers forging steel for ships in Pittsburgh, women welding airplane frames in California, soldiers receiving their pay before being deployed overseas, and families dropping spare cents into war bond jars. Each penny carried weight beyond its monetary value. It was a piece of the American story. Today, when one of these coins resurfaces in outstanding condition, hidden in a collection or discovered by someone newly curious about old American money, it reminds us that history is not gone. It is waiting to be rediscovered in the smallest and most unexpected places. And this brings us to the stunning truth that while most 1942 pennies are worth only a small amount, an exceptional one sold for a jaw-dropping auction record of $35,553. The year is 1948. America is standing in the glowing aftermath of World War II, a country rising from ashes, rebuilding industries, expanding cities, and entering a new era of economic optimism. Factories are running around the clock, families are moving into newly built homes, and citizens are enjoying the feeling of stability that had been missing for nearly a decade. And in the pockets of millions of Americans, a simple copper penny circulates quietly, without making any noise, without seeking attention, yet holding incredible historical and numismatic value. This coin is the United States of America 1948 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, a tiny piece of change that today has become a treasure that collectors are constantly searching for. At first glance, this 1948 penny looks ordinary. Built from the traditional copper composition of the time, weighing 3.11 grams, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the classic wheat ears on the reverse, it was just one of the hundreds of millions produced by the United States Mint. Yet, the beauty of rare coins is this: what seemed common decades ago can suddenly emerge as a fortune today. With every passing year, the surviving population of coins becomes smaller. Coins wear down, get lost in circulation, thrown away in drawers, dropped into the ground, and melted due to rising copper prices. This natural decline of supply increases the rarity and value of a once everyday coin. But what makes the 1948 no-mint mark wheat penny so special? To understand that, we must travel back to the time of its creation. The Philadelphia Mint struck this coin without a mint mark, as it had done for decades. The world had finally taken a breath after World War II, and coinage production normalized again. Citizens were saving pennies, children were collecting them, shopkeepers counted them daily, and vending machines continued working flawlessly on their familiar 1-cent operations. The government did not know that decades later, this small copper coin would become the subject of auctions, records, and collector excitement. Collectors today prize the 1948 penny for several reasons. One is its age. Over 75 years have passed since its production, meaning every high-grade surviving example has endured multiple generations. Another reason is the difficulty of finding perfect preservation. While the mintage may have been large, most coins circulated heavily. They slid across countertops, passed from hand to hand, jingled in pockets, and scraped against other coins. Their surfaces became dull, their details softened, and the sharp designs originally pressed into them slowly faded away. Only a small fraction survived in mint state condition, with original shine, perfect fields, and no distractions. This is where the rarity begins. Imagine a collector examining a 1948 penny under strong light, searching for every hint of detail: the crispness of Lincoln's cheek, the clean lines of his coat, the sharp inner lines of the wheat ears, and the clarity of the motto. A coin that still looks fresh from the day it was minted is a numismatic gem. Such examples do not just appear in pocket change anymore. They surface from old coin collections, forgotten coin jars, estates, and bank safe deposits where someone decades ago preserved them without realizing their future importance. The historical significance of the wheat penny itself further adds value. Wheat pennies, minted from 1909 to 1958, represent an iconic era of United States coinage. They are beloved by collectors because they were the first circulating cents to feature a real person, Abraham Lincoln. Before 1909, U.S. coins displayed symbolic images like liberty figures, shields, wreaths, and eagles. The Lincoln cent was the turning point. It reflected the nation's admiration for the president who preserved the Union. And this design remained for 50 years before being replaced in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial Reverse.So. When someone owns a 1948 wheat penny, they are not just holding a coin. They are holding a piece of American history. They are holding a piece of the post-war American spirit, a reminder of an era when families were reuniting, industries were booming, and the country was entering a new golden age of innovation. Collectors feel that sentimental power. And sentiment always increases value in the world of rare collectibles. Now, let us discuss what collectors look for when evaluating a 1948 no-mint mark wheat penny today. First comes grade, the most critical factor. Lower grades, coins worn from circulation, may still hold modest value, but the true treasures lie at the higher end of the grading scale. A perfect or near-perfect penny can command astonishing prices because it represents the survival of a nearly flawless example in a sea of worn specimens. Luster matters greatly. A bright, original mint red shine is extremely desirable. Over time, copper darkens naturally, shifting to brown or deep chocolate shades. Finding a 1948 penny that still shines red, as if just struck from the press, is incredibly rare. Because of this, grading services reward red-toned coins with significantly higher values compared to brown or red-brown examples. A small hint of brilliance can multiply the price several times. Another factor is strike quality. Not every penny was struck perfectly. Some had weak details, especially around Lincoln's beard and the wheat kernels on the reverse. A sharply struck example indicates that it came from well-aligned dies with strong pressure, allowing it to capture every fine detail. Such high-end strikes stand out in auctions and command premium prices. Then we must talk about eye appeal. Collectors love coins that are pleasant to look at. A coin with clean fields, minimal marks, full sharpness, and balanced color is far more popular than one with visible handling marks or blotchy toning. A 1948 penny that looks breathtaking will always pull higher interest and higher bids. Third comes rarity in auction results. A coin that has previously set a record or comes from a prestigious collection always gains additional respect and desirability. When a coin has a documented history, collectors feel a personal connection, and this emotional impact often leads to competitive bidding wars. Imagine the moment a collector walks into a coin show. Thousands of coins lie behind the glass of dealer cases. Some are beautiful, some are common, some are rare, but only a small number carry the powerful combination of rarity, condition, and historical importance that create excitement in the room. When a 1948 wheat penny in stunning condition appears, every collector nearby notices. Dealers look up. Buyers stop walking. Someone takes a deep breath and asks, "How much is this magnificent coin worth today?" The answer depends not only on supply but also on demand. And demand has been growing consistently. Younger collectors entering the hobby begin with wheat pennies. They find their first wheat cent in pocket change or in a jar at home, and curiosity begins. Then they learn about rare dates, high-grade examples, key varieties, and soon enough, they are hooked. This new generation brings fresh interest and fresh money into the market, and coins like the 1948 wheat penny benefit. In the world of numismatics, time is always working. Every year, top examples disappear into private collections, some never to be sold for decades. Meanwhile, other surviving coins continue to degrade through oxidation and handling. The number of pristine 1948 wheat pennies becomes smaller every single day. This dynamic pushes values upward, especially at the top end of the grading scale. The beautiful thing about coins is that they tell stories. A single penny passes through hundreds of hands in its life. A child buys a piece of candy with it. A shopkeeper places it back in the register. A soldier sends it home in a letter. Someone saves it in a coffee can. Someone else forgets it in a wooden drawer. Decades later, a collector opens that drawer and discovers a treasure. That is the romance of numismatics. That is why the 1948 wheat penny is more than just a coin. It is a time traveler. It is a surviving piece of the past that still speaks today. And now, we arrive at the question every viewer wants answered. What is the highest recorded value for the 1948 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny? In one of the finest known grades, with nearly flawless surfaces, exceptional strike, and outstanding eye appeal, this humble penny once brought an incredible price at auction of $33,465. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain coins that capture the imagination of history lovers, investors, and treasure hunters alike. The United States Lincoln wheat penny is one such coin, with an incredible legacy that stretches back more than a century. Among the many dates that collectors search through, one year stands out as a point of fascination, curiosity, and hidden value: the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it may appear like a humble 1-cent coin from mid-20th century America, but look deeper, and you'll discover that this is a piece of history that has found a new life as a modern collectible. Today, we will explore what makes this coin special, how to identify valuable examples, fascinating history from the year it was minted, and why collectors today still chase after it in hopes of profit, satisfaction, or that thrilling feeling of finding lost treasure in their pocket change. To begin, we have to transport ourselves back to the economic and cultural landscape of the United States in 1955. The country was booming in the post-war era, suburbs were expanding, families were on the rise, and American industry was thriving. Coins at this time circulated heavily, moving from factory paychecks to supermarket counters, gas pumps, movie theaters, and children's piggy banks. And in the middle of this bustling economy was the United States Mint, producing millions of coins for everyday use. Among those coins was the beloved Lincoln wheat cent. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, this coin was more than simple currency. It was a tribute to a leader who shaped the nation. Victor David Brenner's famous design with Lincoln's profile on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse became an American icon. For decades, the wheat penny was a symbol of simplicity yet national pride, appearing in countless pockets and making its way through the hands of millions of Americans. The 1955 D wheat penny was struck in the Denver Mint, marked with the tiny yet important D beneath the date. In total, hundreds of millions of these pennies were minted, meaning that this coin was extremely common in circulation at the time. But common does not always mean ordinary. While many examples are worth only face value today, rare high-grade specimens, untouched by circulation, command serious attention and surprisingly large values in the present market. Collectors today know that the condition of a 1955 D penny is everything. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from heavily worn to perfect mint brilliance, and this grading determines how valuable a coin truly is. Most pennies that pass through hands in the 1950s exhibit wear, scratches, friction marks, loss of shine, and softening of the details over time. These coins spent decades in circulation before collectors began pulling them from drawers and boxes. Because of that, finding one today in exceptional condition, a coin that looks almost as bright as the day it left the mint, is not as easy as it sounds. The best examples are found sealed in old coin albums, envelopes, mint sets, inherited collections, or even forgotten coffee cans stored in the back of garages and attics. So, what exactly gives a 1955 D Lincoln wheat penny collector value? Let's explore its traits. First is eye appeal, meaning how pleasing the coin looks to the eye. A sharp strike, beautiful color, and the brilliant red luster that these pennies originally had are major selling points. Collectors especially love pennies that appear red and untouched. Over decades, copper naturally darkens to brown, so finding a penny that still retains its original fiery color is rare. Such coins are graded higher and fetch more money. Second is overall condition or grade. Coins are graded by professional services who certify authenticity and quality. A high-grade example, especially one in mint state condition, stands out dramatically from ordinary circulated coins. When a 1955 D penny grades within the MS64, MS65, or even MS66 range, the value increases exponentially. Third is rarity within condition. Even though millions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in exceptional states today. If only a few coins exist in top grades, that alone drives competition among collectors, and competition drives price. Another fascinating factor lies in the historical significance of this coin within the wider Lincoln cent series. The mid-1950s period is notable for coin production, and 1955 is a well-recognized year in the hobby due to another famous penny, the 1955 double die. That rare error overshadowed the Denver minted penny in terms of fame, but it also caused increased interest among the public in general. Everyday Americans in the 1950s suddenly became curious about their pocket change. They began looking closely, checking dates and mint marks, and saving coins that seemed special. This wave of excitement helped usher in modern coin collecting as a national pastime. Because of this surge of interest, wheat pennies became a beloved starting point for many beginners. Some collectors who began looking in 1955 still collect today, decades later, meaning this year holds nostalgic significance. The Denver issue, though not a major era coin, still benefits from the historical energy of that period and remains widely collected. Another important detail about the 1955 D penny is the craftsmanship of the era. Striking quality at the time was generally strong, making many coins well-detailed with crisp lettering and sharp design elements. That means high-grade examples can showcase the Lincoln portrait in elegant detail, with clean rims, bold wheat lines, and visibly strong lettering. When collectors see this level of detail preserved for 70 years, they know the coin is something special. Even today, these pennies appear in circulation from time to time, especially in places where old coins remain in circulation longer. Many metal detectorists scanning parks, abandoned homesteads, and rivers still uncover wheat pennies in the soil. Every time one is found, it adds fuel to the excitement of treasure hunting hobbyists. Sometimes the coin is in rough shape, worn and dark from years underground. But occasionally, a surprisingly nice example turns up, giving hope that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered. One of the best places these rare high-grade examples show up is in forgotten family change jars. Many grandparents and great-grandparents saved coins without knowing their future worth, simply putting aside wheat pennies because they look different. Today, when boxes of coins are rediscovered during house cleanouts, attic searches, or estate evaluations, collectors and family members sometimes strike gold. Someone expecting just sentimental items can suddenly find themselves holding a coin that, due to its preservation and rarity, is worth far more than a penny. The 1955 penny also demonstrates the beauty of supply and demand. While the number of collectors in the world continues to rise, the number of perfect coins in existence can never increase. Time only reduces the total supply. Coins disappear into private collections, some are damaged, lost, or forgotten forever. That means the competition for surviving high-quality examples continues to sharpen, and the market has responded accordingly. Collectors today purchase these coins at auctions, coin shows, online marketplaces, and direct private sales. Professional grading services often verify top examples, which helps ensure buyers can confidently invest. Coins with certified high grades attract competitive bidding, sometimes surprising even hardened collectors with how high they sell for. These pennies are more than simple copper. Each one is a standing piece of American history protected and admired. The value of a coin like the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny also reminds us of something important. Treasure is not always gold and diamonds. Sometimes the greatest surprises come in small, overlooked places. The pockets of old uniforms, dusty drawers, forgotten coin folders, or a handful of change sitting on a dresser. Many of the most profitable coin finds in history were discovered by everyday people who simply took a closer look. For anyone looking through their collection and hoping to identify a valuable 1955 penny, focus on 3 key points: strong color, clean surfaces, and sharp details. If the coin still shines with its original red brilliance, shows minimal wear, and has crisp lettering and wheat lines, it may be worth far more than 1 cent. Seeking professional grading is often worth it for high-quality coins because certification unlocks greater market prices and confidence from buyers. Even in circulated condition, this coin tells a story. Each scrape or mark is the echo of a journey across decades of American life, purchases made, pockets carried, counters passed across, and history lived. But the true gems, preserved away from circulation, are now investments and museum-worthy pieces for collectors who appreciate their rarity and survival. In the world of American coin collecting, few coins carry the same level of nostalgia, history, and fascination as the Lincoln wheat penny. Among the many dates and mint marks that collectors seek out, the 1956 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny holds a special place. It is not among the rarest coins ever minted, but its appeal lies in unexpected discoveries, hidden varieties, unexpectedly high-grade specimens, and minting quality details that tell the story of mid-20th century coin production in the United States. Today we take a deep dive into this iconic coin, its background, its striking characteristics, and why some examples have commanded astonishing values at auctions. While millions of 1956 pennies exist, few collectors realize that the right one could turn an ordinary pocket piece into a life-changing discovery. To understand the significance of the 1956 penny, we need to look back to its time of birth. The coin was struck during the Dwight D. Eisenhower era, a period defined by post-war industrial growth and renewed national optimism. The United States mint facilities were running at tremendous speed, producing billions of coins to meet the demands of a growing population. The Denver Mint, where the 1956 cent originated, played a crucial role in this national operation. In 1956 alone, it produced well over 1 billion Lincoln cents, a staggering number that made the denomination one of the most circulated coins in American pockets, purses, shops, and bank bags. Because of this massive production, the majority of 1956 pennies are common and easy to obtain today in circulated condition. However, what makes this coin exciting for collectors is not its mintage, but the rare individuals among the many coins that survived in immaculate quality, coins struck with extraordinary clarity, coins with doubled features, and coins that escape the harsh effects of daily circulation and cleaning. These survivors are the ones that bring real value on the collector market. The 1950-60 penny belongs to the wheat reverse era, which ran from 1909 to 1958. On its obverse is the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner, the designer whose initials would later become a point of controversy when the coin was first issued. Under Lincoln's portrait on the lower right is the year of issue, 1956, and just beneath and slightly to the right of the date sits the small letter D, signifying the Denver Mint. For collectors, this mint mark is more than a small detail. It is the identity of the coin, connecting it to a specific place, a specific press machine, and a specific production history. The reverse of the coin carries a simple but symbolic design, 2 wheat stalks, one on each side, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above them is the familiar national motto E pluribus unum. While billions of these pennies were manufactured, most led hard lives. They rattled in vending machines, tumbled across cash drawers, endured dirt, moisture, and human handling, and eventually lost their original reddish mint shine. Finding a high-grade 1950-60 penny today means finding a survivor that escaped decades of wear. These top-condition coins are where serious money enters the picture. Collectors and grading companies like PCGS and NGC pay special attention to coins that appear nearly flawless. When a 1950-60 penny shows blazing red luster and crisp details, it stands out dramatically among the millions of dull brown well-circulated examples. Some of the highest-graded pieces are so fresh in appearance that collectors describe them as having been minted yesterday. These are the coins that set record prices, because even though the year is common, pristine quality is not. Beyond simple condition, the 1950-60 penny is also home to intriguing varieties and errors that excite specialists. One of the most famous and desirable errors of this coin is the doubled die. In such coins, parts of the design appear doubled because of a production mistake during the hubbing process when the coin die was created. On the 1950-60 penny, such doubling can sometimes be seen on the date, on Liberty, or on the motto In God We Trust. When these errors are dramatic and clear, they transform the coin from a common issue into a small treasure. Coin collectors and dealers are willing to pay high prices for bold doubled dies, especially if the coin also retains good color and strong luster. Machine doubling, which is a more common and less desirable form of doubling, does not command the same value, so collectors must look closely or trust a professional grading company to determine the difference. Another exciting aspect of the 1950-60 penny is how much its value is influenced by the original mint red coloration. Copper coins naturally darken over time as oxygen and handling react with the metal. A dark brown wheat penny may be historically interesting, but a glowing, spotless red example is like holding a window into the past. It feels like holding a fresh Denver Mint release from the afternoon it was first struck. That visual beauty, that sense of preserved history, is a major driving force behind high auction prices. It is also why many collectors fear cleaning coins. Cleaning can strip away the natural surface, leaving scratches, unnatural color, and a ruined value. Even lightly worn coins in original condition can be more desirable than cleaned coins that appear artificially improved. The Denver Mint of the mid-1950s was running at high production speed. Workers and presses were expected to output massive quantities every day, and sometimes this speed created accidental varieties. Some 1950-60 pennies show small mint mark repunching, where the D appears doubled because mint workers manually punched the mark into the die more than once. At the time, this was considered routine. Today, it is a collectible signature that ties the coin to the physical labor of historic mint craftsmen. Collectors enjoy 1950-60 pennies not just for their rarity potential, but for what they represent within the hobby. They are among the last wheat cents ever made. Just 2 years later, in 1959, the reverse design changed from wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial. This means the 1950-60 penny is part of the closing chapter of a 50-year design era. To many collectors, it feels like the last breath of old Americana before the modern age fully took hold. Wheat cents circulated through the Great Depression, World War II, the Korean War, and the rise of 1950s modernity. They sat in soda machines, diner cash registers, and the hands of everyday Americans during some of the most transformative decades in United States history. So, how does someone today tell whether their 1950-60 penny is special? The first step is examining condition. If the coin is brown and worn from years of use, it may still hold sentimental or historical value but likely won't bring much financial reward. If the coin has vibrant color, sharp strikes, and minimal marks, then serious interest begins. The next step is searching for notable varieties such as doubled dies or clear repunched mint marks. Finally, sending the coin to a grading service is often the best way to maximize potential value. Grading slabs give coins authentication, professional evaluation, and market credibility. When rare high-grade or error examples reach auction, competitive bidding can push prices dramatically higher than what the owner may expect. The story of the 1950-60 penny reminds collectors that hidden value often lies in plain sight. A coin that millions have spent without thought, a coin that may have passed through the hands of workers, schoolchildren, and soldiers, can reappear decades later as a collector's highlight. This is the magic of numismatics, the idea that history lives on in small metal artifacts, waiting for someone with knowledge and curiosity to notice them. Among the many wheat pennies minted, the 1950-60 stands as a symbol that even common dates can become valuable under the right circumstances. A nearly perfect surviving example of this coin shocked collectors when it sold at auction for $19,377. Imagine going through your old change jar, maybe the one sitting in your drawer for years, and discovering a single coin that looks ordinary, brown, worn, old, but actually worth more than a stack of new $100 bills. That is the thrill and mystery of American coin collecting, and today we are focusing on one of the most surprising and exciting finds a collector can make: the United States of America 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. A coin millions of Americans saw every day in circulation, passed through grocery stores, old cash registers, school vending machines, and the wallets of hard-working families during the 1950s. Yet today, in the right condition, one of these can be worth far more than anyone in 1957 could have imagined. To understand this coin, we need to go back in time. The United States in 1957 was in the middle of a changing era. The nation was growing, incomes rising, and the country was moving closer to a modern age. Cars filled the roads with chrome and bright paint, televisions were appearing in millions of homes, and the average price of a gallon of gasoline was just around 24 cents. People went to the grocery store with only a few dollars and bought everything their family needed. In a world where a single penny mattered, the wheat penny was part of everyday American life. The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny was one of the last of its kind. Just a year later in 1958, the wheat reverse, the iconic two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent, would be changed forever. The reverse design would shift to the Lincoln Memorial, marking the end of a 50-year era. So collectors began to look back at the final wheat years with special interest. The 1957 penny represents not just a coin, but the closing chapter of what collectors call America's classic copper penny age. The obverse of this coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. It is one of the longest-running and most recognizable coin designs in world history. The year 1957 appears just to the right of Lincoln's profile. The lack of a mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, and while millions were minted, that doesn't mean they are all worth the same today. The true value depends heavily on condition, rarity of high-grade examples, luster, and the presence of clean surfaces that survived decades without scratches or circulation marks. Most 1957 no-mint mark pennies today are found in circulated condition, meaning they saw years of everyday use. They might be faded, dull, worn around the edges, or have contact scratches. These are still collectible, but their monetary value is usually small. What sets extraordinary examples apart are the limited number of coins that survived in pristine condition. These are the coins that were never dropped in a grocery store, never rolled into a bank wrapper, never carried in a pocket with keys that scratched the surface. They were set aside, sometimes intentionally by collectors, and sometimes accidentally stored away in bank bags or forgotten in rolls for decades. When one of these perfect examples appears at auction, collectors pay attention. High-end examples of early Lincoln wheat cents with sharp detail and nearly flawless surfaces are rare. And that rarity drives bidding upward. But what makes the 1957 no-mint mark penny especially interesting is how often it surprises new collectors. Someone will search through an old coin jar inherited from a relative, expecting nothing special, and suddenly discover a bright red uncirculated wheat penny that looks like it was minted yesterday, even though it is nearly 70 years old. That is when the research begins. That is when the journey into coin grading, market history, and collector demand takes off. The condition of a coin is measured using the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor 1 up to mint state 70. For Lincoln cents like the 1957 penny, most coins still existing today fall somewhere between fine and very fine if they circulated. These are collectible but not rare. The magic happens when a 1957 penny is graded mint state by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. Suddenly the value multiplies many times over, because these top-quality survivors are scarce. And in recent years, as more people revisit old coin rolls and pocket changes, demand and interest in high-grade Lincolns continues to grow. Collectors also love the 1957 penny because it retains the deep copper composition coin lovers admire. These coins were struck from 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. The metal itself is part of the nostalgia. When you hold one of these coins in your hand, you are holding real copper, something that grew rare as the United States shifted to cheaper alloys in later decades. It feels heavier than a modern penny, it looks richer in color, and under bright light, uncirculated examples glow with a deep red tone that is visually stunning. Errors are another important part of the story. Like many coins from this decade, there are collectors who search specifically for errors from the 1957 production year. Examples include off-center strikes, double-die obverse errors, cuds, die cracks, and coins struck slightly out of alignment. These errors can significantly increase value because they were never meant to be released but slipped into circulation by mistake. An unusual error on a high-grade coin can push collector interest and auction prices even higher. The story of the 1957 wheat penny is also a story of American families collecting together. Many kids in the 1950s collected coins as a hobby. It was inexpensive, fun, educational, and rewarding. Parents and children sat together at kitchen tables, emptying penny rolls and searching for missing dates. Some families built entire Lincoln cent books year by year. Many of those collections stayed tucked away for decades. Now, as those collections surface again, collectors and coin dealers are discovering beautiful gems that haven't seen daylight since the Eisenhower years. A coin that cost 1 cent in 1957 and sat untouched for over 60 years can bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars today from the right buyer. But what makes these high auction results possible? It is a combination of rarity, condition, and collector passion. Coins are time capsules. They capture a moment in history, and serious collectors value that deeply. The 1957 penny is 1 year before America changed the wheat design forever. It stands at the bridge between old and new, between the classic era of the Lincoln wheat cent and the modern Lincoln Memorial reverse. Collectors love final year issues, and the demand for top-graded examples grows every year. Imagine a coin that survived segregation-era bus tokens, Elvis Presley hit songs on jukeboxes, packed drive-in theaters, diners with chrome stools, Cold War headlines, and the earliest years of the space age. A coin that survived long enough without damage to still glow with mint luster. The idea alone captures the imagination. When such a coin crosses an auction block, bidders know they are not just buying copper, they are buying history. Collectors also know that high-grade wheat pennies are one of the most affordable entry points into valuable numismatics. You do not need to spend hundreds of thousands on a rare gold coin to own something truly collectible. A single wheat penny can be exciting, profitable, and achievable for new collectors. That makes the hunt even more enjoyable. People of all ages, from teenagers entering the hobby to seniors revisiting old memories, can participate and find joy. The 1957 no-mint mark penny is also a reminder to never overlook the simple coins in your pocket. Most rare discoveries in the coin world do not come from banks, museums, or estate sales. They come from someone casually looking through their change or inherited coin jar. People around the world share stories of finding valuable Lincoln cents in the most ordinary places. And every time it happens, it inspires a whole new generation of coin treasure hunters. So if you have jars of old pennies, coin albums, inherited change collections, or even a box from a relative that hasn't been opened in years, now is the time to look through them. You might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. Someone once did exactly that and had their 1957 wheat penny professionally graded, only to watch it sell for an incredible final auction price. Imagine that excitement. Imagine mailing off a penny worth a penny and receiving a check for thousands. This is why collectors love the United States of America 1957 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. It is historic, beautiful, accessible, nostalgic, and surprisingly valuable. And in one extraordinary auction, one of these rare high-grade examples sold for $17,477.